From the Book of the Burning Bush, this will be Church A, this will be Church B. We'll start with Church A, Burning Bush. How is creation an act of love? Part B, Father Lev Gillette challenges us to see divine beauty in all of creation and therefore love of all creation. He admits that sometimes this is difficult. What example does he give where it is difficult to love a creature? Part C, how does he explain that we ought to love this creature while it is difficult to love? What reason does he give for us to love it? Church B, the Burning Bush, explain the historical differences between Mount Horeb and Mount Sinai. Part B, what is the spiritual significance of the two mountains as they relate to the Jews and to us today? Part C, in order for Moses to see the burning bush, he had to turn aside. How does that apply to us today?
He is limitless love, so everything that he makes, he pours his being into us. If he were to withdraw his being from us, we would cease to exist. So everything that he makes is an act of love to us because we need his love. Father Lev Gillette challenged us to see the divine beauty in all of creation and therefore love all of creation. He admits that sometimes it is difficult. What example does he give where it's difficult to love a creature? He gives an example of the snake biting you. And how does he explain that we ought to love this creature while it is difficult? He says that even when the snake bites you, it does not see it from your perspective. It's in his nature to bite you. He doesn't know any better, and God still loves it anyway, so we should also love it because we're all his creation.
Mount Horeb is where the vision of the burning bush happened. Mount Sinai is where the Ten Commandments were received. Mount Horeb and Mount Sinai were believed to be the same mountain or sometimes actually in the same location. But spiritually speaking, they were actually two separate mountains in two separate locations. When we talk about the burning bush itself, the burning bush was described as a plant that was a wild plant. It wasn't perfect. It had thorns in it, and it was not a perfect plant. And basically, the fire going through it was a devouring fire of love, which was known to be able to try to purify that plant and take all those thorns out and just basically bring out the beauty in it. It's historically significant to the Jews as they were exiting Egypt. The thorns and the imperfections of the plant represent the oppression, and the fire itself represents the encompassing fire, or basically the care of God being bestowed upon them. In order for Moses to see the burning bush, he had to turn aside. How does this apply to us today? Basically, when he was attending to the flocks of Jethro, it would represent basically us going through our daily lives, going through our daily cares, and just going along a straight path. Turning aside to see the vision of the burning bush is basically his way of telling us is that these doors will open to you sometimes where opportunity is presented so that you can do something sensational or something exceptional or something that's good. And it applies to us today, basically saying that we should try to not to stray away from the path of God, and to always be on the lookout for doors that open up to us, and be on the lookout for our own vision of the burning bush so that we can not miss out on opportunities that are presented to us.
The question for Church B from the book The Case of Faith. Strobel states, people say Gandhi lived a more virtuous life than most Christians. Why should he be sent to hell just because he wasn't a follower of Jesus? How does Zacharias respond to this question? What is the threefold pattern seen in Exodus? What was the theologian John Hick's view of on world religions? What example does Strobel give to illustrate this? What was Ravi Zacharias' response to this theory? According to Zacharias, what does Hick's theory ignore?
Gandhi was a good person and all, but he wasn't a follower of Jesus Christ. He knew about Christianity, and he knew what it represented and what it talked about. But yet he still felt that he should go through his ways and preach what he thought was right, but not what Jesus Christ thought was right. Zacharias responded his question by pretty much saying that if you do the certain things that that God asked you to do, his being like baptized and like all those things, then you shall be accepted into the kingdom of heaven. Also, if you accept God at your like last time, then you're also allowed to go up in heaven.
John Hicks's view on world religions, that he viewed it that all religions share a common ground, that they all strive for peace and love, and Strobel illustrates, the example he gives is that they are all part of one elephant, that there's a huge elephant in the room, and they're all trying to see the real truth, the absolute truth, but they are blinded, so they feel around, and for example, one would feel the leg of the elephant, and they would think of it as a trunk, but it's not really the truth that they're seeing or they're feeling. So Zacharias' response to this theory is that all religions don't necessarily, they're not right because they all refute each other, so it is not absolute truth. Absolute truth is undenying, and you can't argue it. And his theory is flawed because an elephant will always be an elephant. You can never deny part of the elephant and think of it as a trunk of or a leg of an elephant. So his theory really ignores the absolute truth of Jesus Christ and what it stands for.
For the book of Saint Mary and the Orthodox concept, for Church A, Part A, explain the heresy of Arianism. Part B, please discuss the Alexandrian Fathers' answers to this heresy. Paraphrasing is okay. For Church B, Part A, explain the heresy of Nestorianism. Part B, which saint refuted this heresy strongly. Please discuss this saint's argument, action against this heresy. Paraphrasing is okay.
Explain the heresy of Arianism. Basically, this heresy, it was about that Jesus wasn't the true Son of God, and Mary, she was just a channel that he came through, and they doubted his true divinity, and the Alexandrian Father answered this heresy by, they said that Mary, she was a true virgin even after Christ's birth, and she didn't incur any pain.
Nestorius was the bishop of Constantinople in 428 AD. He came up with a heresy that basically he was saying that Saint Mary, or Virgin Mary, should not be called or given the title of Theotokos because she is not the mother of God. She should rather be called Christokos, which is only the mother of Jesus Christ. And that he was saying that God could not have been possibly be born of a woman. He later went on to say that he made a distinction between the Son of Mary and the person of Jesus Christ and how they were separate. And he said that the son of Mary gave birth to a son, and then later he was transformed into Jesus Christ, and this happened morally, not hypostatically. And he also so he said that the person of Jesus should not be called God because he's not God, but rather he should be called God-bearer. And he also went on to criticize the wise men for bowing down in front of Jesus Christ because he did not deserve that because he's not God. Part B, which saint refuted this, it was Saint Cyril, the Pope of Alexandria, and he refuted this heresy in 1429 AD, and he started with a paschal letter that was not directed towards Nestorius at the beginning. He just wanted to write a general paschal letter to all of the people, and he was saying, he made two different distinctions. One, that Saint Mary is entitled to be called Theotokos because she is indeed the mother of God, and the second part was that he clarified the divinity of Jesus Christ, and the Son of Mary is in fact a true perfect man, and they were united together in Saint Mary's womb. Therefore, saying that Nestorius is completely wrong with what he was saying. He also later wrote another letter to the monks regarding the same issue, and that's when Nestorius started getting angry and realizing that St. Cyril was attacking his views. And then St. Cyril, after that, wrote two letters to Nestorius regarding the same subject, also clarifying that St. Mary is entitled to be called Theotokos because she's the mother of God. And St. Cyril said that the person of Jesus Christ and the Son of Mary were united hypostatically in St. Mary's womb, and that the beginning did not just start in St. Mary's womb, but it was rather, God was rather there the whole time. And then after that, they also wrote the 12 Articles, which basically meant that if you did not believe in this, you would be excommunicated from the church. And then they went on to, in 431, with the ecumenical councils, declaring that Saint Mary, or Virgin Mary, is indeed the Mother of God, Theotokos.
Church B, what is man? His Holiness makes the argument that the rationale of man is affected by various influences. Explain how fear can influence man's mind within him. What are the consequences of a fear-led mind? From the book, provide a biblical example of fear leading someone's mind. Church A. His Holiness makes the argument that the rationale of man is affected by various influences. Provide 3 ways of how emotions influence man's mind within him. From the book, provide a biblical example of emotions leading someone's mind.
Fear is should be considered a sin, because with fear you are not putting total faith in your God, or like our God, which means that you're putting your faith somewhere else, that it doesn't belong, somewhere earthly, and earthly things are not something to rely on. So that goes against the first commandment, essentially, saying that you will worship only your God, or rather you will worship an earthly God that you should not put your faith in. Within him, it can start creating doubt. It can start creating wrong thoughts that may lead him astray and may lead other people astray. People who have a fear-led mind essentially do constantly live in fear because they have nothing to hold them together, nothing to comfort them. From the book, provide a biblical example of a fear leading someone's mind. First off, there is Jonah, who feared coming to the city of Nineveh and telling them that what God told him. So he ran away, and he put his faith in something that he cannot trust, something earthly, which is the fishermen and the ocean, things like that. He tried to run away, and it did not work, and proved that, and he went back. He put his faith where he should, and he was no longer fearful. Another one, Peter denied Christ 3 times because he feared of what earthly people, will do to him. And in the end, they did find out that it was him, and he was forced to run away. But he did repent, he did come back, and he did embrace Christ once more. Thank you.
One of the 3 ways it influences man's mind is it affects his reasoning, and that makes him stray from the reasoning that the church taught us. Another way is it affects his conscience, so his conscience begins to work less. And a third way is it affects his spiritual life, so he starts to grow farther away from God, and everything starts to blur. And from the book, provide a biblical example of how the emotions can lead from someone's mind, and an example would be Samson.
All right, the final score, Church A 28, Church B 32.
Very close. Good job, guys.
I'm from St. Mary's, St. Mina Church in Rhode Island, and they just won exam 3, round 1. How do you feel?
I feel great because we lost the first round, and I'm really glad to begin the second round. Hopefully God is with us for the rest.
Okay, we have one of our people here from Philly, which we're both from Philly. So how do you feel?
I feel kind of relieved that I don't have to worry about this anymore, but it's really fun. I love this thing. I look forward to it all year.
Okay, and did you learn from it?
I do. I love reading the books. I'm actually going to read one of the other books on my own time for fun. Case for Faith, I'm really excited. Burning Bush is really good. You guys should read it.
I feel so happy right now because it's my first time coming here, so it's a very good challenge for me.
Did you feel like you learned?
Yeah, I learned a lot of stuff from books. Like, I love books, Shinada books, so I kind of love it.
How is the exam going so far?
It's going really well. It seems like the competitors really, or the kids, they really studied hard, and they're well prepared. The questions are challenging, but they're up to the challenge, and I think they're doing a good job so far.
How he was
Hey guys, the question for Church B from the